Hello there you, and welcome to a gigantic orky mob that's about to descend on this Imperial God defense line. Will the mini-war win the day, or will Imperial God firepower cause ruination? As always, if you do enjoy this content, do leave a like and consider subscribing, as that's the best way to support the channel. Now, let's get on with the slaughter. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, kicking off today's battle as the Green Tide here surges forward like a group of angry bodybuilders intent on ripping the Imperial Guard from shred to shred. And already, the glorious Imperial artillery here raining down upon the orky lines, sending poor old cubs here skying through the air. Some of them surviving the fall, others may not. Meanwhile, the overlapping fields of firepower here from the Imperial lines. As you can see, we've got conscripts and we've got Lehman Rossies working with artillery here, as well as a couple of Kriegers thrown into the mix. They're all going to be firing point blank into this orc horde as the first contact is made here. More artillery shells pounding that front line as the Greenskin Tides descend upon the poor old Imperial conscripts here. But you can see that the firepower is having a decent old effect on that orc front line. But undeterred by the insane losses that they're taking at the moment, the orcs are pushing forward. You can see that we've got a detachment of Krieg riflemen over here, absolutely stomping out the orcs. I mean, just look at that Green Tide. Heading in here. Storm Boys on the front line, making their way forward, living up to the name as always. Now, we are backed up here today by CADIAN regiments who've been deployed to the field. Some of the strongest units that the Guardsmen actually have in terms of manpower. These guys are not to be messed with. You can see that we got a glorious Krieger charge heading out into the flank here, trying to stop the orcs from outflanking the Imperial position. Kriegers with the shovel at the ready, taking on the big green brutes here. Absolutely magnificent stuff. But if we head over to our front line, you can see that the orcs are using the terrain as cover here, allowing them to dip below these hills, where they're not able to get shot as easily by the Imperial defenses here. But that is a massive surge that we've got coming in at the moment. They are being greeted once again by shovels in mass. You could say the Shovel Knight Warriors of the 40K universe here. The Kriegers holding that line against the orky hordes. The artillery trying to bombard down. However, on our far left flank over here for the Imperials, the orcs are having much more success, only finding resistance here from a couple of conscripts. The artillery and tank fire here is definitely not on par with the rest of the line. It has been a glorious push here for the orcs though. Look at that. They've really managed to pile up the bodies on this side already, and they're really pushing into that Imperial flank. However, yet again, we have got a detachment over here of renegades, of Death Corps of Krieg over here. Hellball rifles at the ready to take on the orky charge, and that's exactly what they're doing. Look at this. Thousands of orcs here pouring into the breach, taking their stupendous losses while they do so. Absolutely magnificent stuff so far. Imperial defense, 190,000 kills. They've got 700,000 to go here. The orcs are taking a lot of losses though from this artillery and overlapping fields of fire here from the Lehman Rossies. I mean, there's a large concentration of Lehman Rossies here. Again, orcs getting distracted by the Kriegers, who have done a glorious countercharge there, buying as much time as they possibly can. Meanwhile, on this side of the plateau, in the middle of our defense, you can see that the orcs have been making a very steady progress, despite the artillery here pounding them as they get close to that front line. They are still making progress. The Kriegers, though, are being backed, the conscripts are being backed up by Cadians over this side. And again, that firepower from the Cadians is not to be trifled with. They are extremely powerful units. The orcs, though, looking like they're starting to gain the upper hand on the flank. Sheer weight of numbers is absolutely winning the day here. The Kriegers done a magnificent job, though, of holding back this orc horde. The orcs really haven't been able to maneuver around this flank, though. Look at this. Well, they have been holding the units in place. It looks like a large gathering of orcs has actually appeared on this side. Though on this side of the field, it kind of feels like we are running out of orcs ever so slowly. Perhaps we might have a successful defense on this side of the field. If we can clear out this orc flank, it'll be magnificent for the Imperial Guard defense. The orcs, though, in the center lines, getting ever so closer here now. You see these magnificent body piles starting to pile up around the entire defense here, creating these walls, which are also good for the Imperials. It also gives cover to the attacking melee units behind them. And this center line, again, like I said, only just holding back the waves of orcs here, thanks to the Kriegers that have charged forward in this glorious assault. upon the Orky lines. I mean, just look at the quagmire. We've created a swamp of Orc death underfoot here. The goo of the enemies just freely flowing out of them. No, it cannot be underestimated. The Orky powers that be are making progress on this line every now and then. Look at these, the artillery shells as well. Just throwing the storm boys into the middle groups here. And they're causing absolute havoc when they land. But again, I'm really excited for our Cadian brethren over this side. Look at the Orcs, man. Melting against the last fire here of the Cadians. Again, the Death Corps of Krieg holding this narrow path. Done a magnificent job. Look at the bodies that have piled up on this side. Oh my god, there's so many of them over here. 43,000 defenders remaining. 500,000 Orcs still charging into the bridge here. And look at that center line. It's an absolute insane battlefield at the moment. Orcs being thrown through the air as the conscripts desperately try to hold back wave after wave of green-skinned menace here. But the green-skinned hordes undeterred, like I said before. Actually, look at this on the flank. Yeah, like I said earlier, the Orcs are starting to run out of troops over here. It still looks like they've got a few, but there's no reinforcements coming. This is it. If the Orcs don't manage to push this flank over this side now, that'll be it for that amount of troops over here. Again, they are taking on Kriegers, so it's not going to be an easy task for them. The Kriegers here, as you can see, just melting that front line of Orcs. Oh my god, that is some insane firepower that we got overlapping here. And look at this, we're creating impassable terrain as well, with the goo that is below us. The Orcs, though, have made grounds in the center line. They are pushing forward. They're slowly but surely getting to that conscript line. It has cost them dearly, but look at this now. It's a magnificent surge. The green tide is coming for the Imperial defense here. Again, that artillery both hampering and enabling the defense here. It is taking out large chunks of Orcs, but the Storm Boys can actually survive the artillery hits. Like I said, all that happens then is the Storm Boys, they get flung into the middle of the Imperial Guard defense and they just start killing everything around them immediately. That's why you see these little holes and pockets start appearing. Look at these guys here. So you start getting these little holes and gaps appearing in the defense. But Arcadian Regiment here now under full assault, and my god, look at that. They are making the Orcs pay for every inch of ground that they're taking at the moment. The flank may have fallen over here. Actually, no, look at this. There is still a couple of Kriegers. Resilient to the bitter end here, refusing to die, still distracting the Orcs. But yeah, it is safe to say, again, another Krieger line has fallen over this side. But the Orcs now are taking on the direct challenge here. That is the Cadian fire team. And they are putting in that hurt. Again, artillery shells actually starting to land into this flank now. That's really good for our defense. But that front line is starting to falter. Look at this. Oh my god, we've got this huge gap in the center now that the Orcs can push through. Luckily, most of the artillery is still safe somewhat. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit exposed on the flank now, though, with the loss of that center line. But it seems like a lot of the Orcs are still distracted by the Cadian brethren over there. But look at this. The Imperial Guard defense on this side, it's chewing its way through the Orky masses. We are somewhat defeating this flank after this last group here. Oh, it's magnificent. That could be really good for the Imperials. So, while we're losing control of this side of the field, it does appear that the Imperials have gained complete control of the left flank here. The attack in the center line is starting to falter on the left-hand side. That's really good for the Imperials. They can start concentrating firepower into the flank of the Orcs now as they approach into that front line. My god, look at the Orky hordes. I just love the Orcs, man. They look so cool on the battlefield like this. Just thousands of them, and look at our Kriegers, man. They're doing such a good job. Kriegers, the Cadians over here, they're doing such a good job of holding out against the Orcs. The Orcs taking stupendous losses trying to push this one regiment here. Again, that artillery has been working at wonders for the Imperial defense. But I am actually really interested to see what happens here. Are the Orcs going to have enough units to be able to push through the remaining group here? We've still got a lot of Imperials. We've still got a lot of tanks that the Orcs need to get past. Look at that. The Orcs are just, again, melting against that Imperial defense. There's so much firepower all wrapped up. But our group of Cadians over this side, slowly but surely, they are getting diminished. But my god, did they put in the work. They caused such hurt for the Orcs. We have got a couple of Kriegers still in Overwatch position on either side of the rock over here. They're still laying down the hurt into the Orky mob, weakening up ones before they get to that front line. But yeah, it's looking a little bit dicey here. 20,000 Imperial defenders. I don't know. I couldn't call this one either way. What I'm quickly going to do is hit a little bit of a time-lapse camera, and we're going to wait for that Orky horde to come from the north and descend upon the Imperial defense. We'll be back in a second. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Orky horde is descending on the remaining Imperial God defenders here. We've got about 14,000 defenders to 90,000 orcs. I really could not call this either way. The orcs here are going to have to grind out the Imperial defense bit by bit. And let me tell you, these lemon russies are adding so much firepower to that front line for the Imperial Guard at the moment. It is going to be a tragedy literally unfolding before our eyes as the orcs take them out one by one, because that is really going to diminish the Imperial firepower. But like I said, I really couldn't call this either way. With the Imperials still having so many tanks on the field, as long as they manage to keep them alive for as long as possible. And I mean, look, that was definitely an artillery gun. We've got, yeah, look at this, we've still got artillery guns in amongst the mix here. So this could be extremely deadly for the orcs. It is going to be a costly attack here to take out the remaining defenders, who are literally just standing there and blasting into the side at times. I mean, this has been a magnificent defense so far by the Imperials. Look at these orcs over here, just getting railed into the side of as they try to make their way to that front line, only to be greeted by 11 Russ with its cannon, turning them into paste very, very slowly. Look at this though, we have still got a couple of Kriegers in amongst the midst here. They'll be making their way to the front line, trying to buy time for them conscripts, giving them that vital breathing room to line up them shots on the Orky horde. We're coming down to 58,000 of them here. It is going to be a tight old defense for the Imperial Guard. Like I said, they're lucky at the moment that the orcs aren't completely surrounding them, but it is starting to happen bit by bit. You can see that we have got these miniature little Kriegers coming out of the line, just these little groups here every now and then. And they're doing their job diligently here, holding back the Orky hordes as they try to plow through the rest of our defenders here. But look at this, we still have got a large group over this side, man. I don't know. The orcs are taking a lot of losses trying to push this. But again, so are the Imperials, quite frankly. A couple of the orcs now deciding to try and make the way across the Blood Lake here to push around into the flank of these guys. Again, is this Krieg? Oh yeah, look at this. We've still got a large group of Kriegers over this side. Okay, this could be deadly for the Orkies at this point. 40,000 orcs, just under 9,000 defenders remaining now. That is a tight old fight. I really can't call this. What I am going to do then is hit a little time-lapse camera. We're going to get our final result. Are the orcs going to get through the defense, or are the Kriegers just going to help to pull it through? We'll be back in a second. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with the last few remaining orcs on the field, I think it's safe to say that the Imperial Guard have won this day. A heroic victory. Oh my god, look at this battlefield. Every inch, nook and cranny here is just covered in the corpses of orcs. The Imperials, though, they lost a heck of a lot of units also during this fight, but I do think we can call this one here. But of course, we've got to clean up all these mushrooms. We can't have any orcs growing back. So with that, I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. A massive shout out to all you channel members who helped keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out the amazing Death Before Dishonor hoodies, available now in the ChaoticPinky store. Links in the description. With all that being said, as always, until next time, peace.